I'll put the question to the three of you first. Sir Richard Attenborough struggled for 20 years and decided to make this film, and the world woke up to Gandhi. When you all decided to make the film, you know, and were you mocked because, Gandhi bashing was the norm? We blamed him for all our problems. And also, what was the inspiration that you wanted to do a movie on Gandhi?
As you rightly put, Gandhi bashing was a fashion. And when we were growing up, Gandhi just meant a chapter in a history book, a face on the currency note, or a picture on an RTO office wall or any government office wall. That's what Gandhi meant when we were growing up. It was only after, I remember it was only after I saw Attenborough's Gandhi that I woke up to, oh, what a man. And that's when I started reading about Gandhi. And one of the first books I read was a book by Louis Fisher on Gandhi. I think it's one of the finest books. I think it's even better than his own autobiography. And that book just completely shook me about this man. That here was a man who was talking non-violence, not in a normal way. Basically, he was saying that people who are violent are people who are scared. Possessing arms is an act of fear. So he was saying, if you are non-violent, that means you are a fearless guy. And to even think that you can fight a battle for independence in the non-violent way, in a non-violent way, where there's no historical evidence of any nation fighting a war for independence in a non-violent way. So here was a man who was coming up with unique ideas. Like when he did a Bandh. Bandh might sound very outdated today when we do Mumbai Bandh or we have these Bandhs, but that time it was a very unique idea. What he was doing in a non-violent way, he was attacking the economy of the rulers. When he went on a fast, he was emotionally arousing the emotion of a nation, and he was telling the rulers, I'm not going to harm you, I'm going to harm myself. I'm willing to die by going on fast. But if I die, a whole nation will rise. So with his gentleness, with his kindness, he was actually battling them. So it actually shook me up, and I said, someday we have to make a film on this man. And yes, whenever I met people and whenever I tried to tell them about Gandhi bashing was a fashion, and they would say, no, he was responsible for partition. And I said, no, read about that man. And if that man was alive today, he would wonder. So actually my first draft of that script was not Munna Bhai meets Mahatma Gandhi. It was actually a draft about what if Gandhiji was alive in today's time? What would he think? Would he think, is this the India he wanted? Is this a country he wanted? Is this what he fought for? So we wrote a draft keeping that in mind, but somehow it became a very preachy and a little boring film. And I realized that he was now we put him on a pedestal and we kind of make him iconic and made him like a godlike figure. But he was not, he was a people's man. So we thought we have to bring him we have to make him a pop icon. We have to make him like a common man. So that's why Munna Bhai came in handy, and we said, what if we merge Gandhiji with Munna Bhai, a goon?
Yeah, you got a goon. How come a goon? I mean, a goon is an antithesis of what the Mahatma stood for.
So if Gandhiji was to teach a goon about non-violence, it creates a lot of humor, creates a lot of fun, and within that fun, you can actually say what Gandhiji stood for. So I would say effectively, Attenborough was responsible for all of us making that film.
And also, Mr. Chopra, when he came up with the idea on Gandhiji, and when you all three set out to make this movie, did you have people thinking these people really don't know what they're getting into? I mean, who's going to watch Gandhi now?
Yeah, I have to tell you. Hello. Yeah. I have to tell you two interesting episodes on that. One was that we had, we sell our film to distributors, as you know. And the joke was that we had just made Munna Bhai MBBS. And there was, if you recall that film, there was a song sequence in the hospital, which the distributors call an item number.
Gee.
So when we were making this film, the distributors were very scared because they were wondering that what are these guys doing with Gandhi. So I remember clearly them coming up to me and, sir, हमको safe रखने के लिए आपने कुछ item तो रखा ही डाला है ना. मैंने कहा हाँ बिल्कुल अच्छा हमने item डाला है, बहुत अच्छा item है, पूरा picture में item है. So then they said, क्या है sir? मैंने कहा महात्मा गांधी है.
I'll correct him. He actually said topless item hai.
Yeah, I forgot that. That's right. I forgot that. I said both a topless item hai. So that is the fight we had to do to, today I just heard one of my colleagues, jokingly say, oh, you monetize Gandhi, but the fact is that it was, I think, one of the most courageous things that three of us did.
Very true.
Because it was so scary. And I still remember the day when Abhijat and Raju, they normally go for morning walks, 5:36 when they're in a mess. So they were in a mess. And they called me from the walk. I still remember they woke me up and said, sir, we will combine these two ideas. Because the one idea was just a man who hits during 47, pre-Mahatma Gandhi's assassination, 42 maybe in Quit India movement, he's hurt and he goes into a coma and wakes up 50 years later thinking that Mahatma Gandhi is still alive, the world is still the same. And it was a movie about, and then through his eyes, we see how whatever Gandhi fought for, what they fought for, and what we have done to that nation today. So that was a very difficult idea. And suddenly they called me and said, what if we combine that with the Munna Bhai idea? And I realized that that's absolutely outstanding. You remember that walk?
Well, I was not on that walk. That was, I came in to write Munna Bhai a little later. That was Raju calling you.
You were walking by yourself?
Raju was walking by himself at that time. So Raju can tell you more about it. By the time I came on board, I realized that, here were two gentlemen who were perfectly happy if their house was sold. Because there was every chance that a movie like this can get banned. So that was unbelievably inspiring for me.
He was the father of the nation, he was Bapu, he was everything, but he wasn't real. The only thing real about him was the fact that he was assassinated and therefore he was real, because they could actually kill him. But if the so-called Gandhians and the government of this country could help it, he would become a saint, and we would then have lots of taboos about what we could say about him and what we couldn't say about him. What Attenborough did was he brought Gandhi to the world. But Gandhi still escaped the Indian youth, because Attenborough's film was, as old as it was, today's generation still did not identify with the so-called Gandhigiri that we call it from Munna Bhai. And I think what Munna Bhai did was to suddenly make Gandhi an apostle of the exact opposite of Che Guevara. Now, Che Guevara was a revolutionary who was relatively violent in his own way. And Gandhi was an equally big revolutionary, if not bigger, with non-violence. And for kids to understand that today, it was very relevant for Munna Bhai to make him into a real, breathing, practical, followable, not deified figure. And I think we should take him off the wall and make him real. And when we teach him in our classrooms today, it's about being a revolutionary and not just the father of the nation.
Can you repeat the question, Prahlad?
Oh, sorry. The question was that did you guys realize the kind of impact that the Gandhigiri factor of the film would have on the relevance of Gandhi to the youth today who didn't know, who was like a chai boy who thought that Gandhi was Indira Gandhi's father? I mean, did you realize historically what you were actually doing?
See, the point is, what happens is when you do any work, you really have no idea how far that will go and what will be the impact of it. You do it because you believe in it. We believed that is what we believed in, and we said that. But frankly speaking, it could have been the biggest bomb, it could have been a flop, it could have banned, and really speaking, the important thing is, I can say that for all of us sitting here, and we have, we make one movie in 4 years, that for any movie, we never ever think, oh, this will become like that. We just make that because we believe in that. If it becomes big, we are grateful. Yeah. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Mine is a very short question. While this film Gandhi was very effective, why a film like Passage to India did not appeal to the Indian audience?
As I told you, because any creative work has to have some source which has to have that kind of a warmth, that kind of a feeling, that kind of a nature, that it can very easily find an access into the human sensibilities. And that is how the Gandhi, just one incident why I actually narrated and I wanted to share with you, because this factor that the person's is able to transcend that level, that he is able to see things much better than what a common person with a naked eye could see. Because that's how the way he could see Gandhiji, and the way he started constructing a kind of, is actually is an architecture of a kind of a patience. I put it that way, because the whole film, if you see, 20 years, he actually strived to do that film. And before that, actually the idea started coming from Indian High Commission in Britain. There was some gentleman who wanted to actually do a film on Gandhiji. So he approached Mr. Attenborough. And Mr. Attenborough worked on it for some time, but they didn't work through. Then again, it was referred to Mr. David Lean. And David Lean also worked for some time. Then after that, it didn't work through. It went back to Mr. Richard Attenborough. And he kept on persisting this whole process for such a long time. It's a question of a kind of a patience. That is an element which can be seen, any kind of a film, any film, you see, that's how I consider it as a creative virtue. Because that patience, the way he played on it, it created kind of an architecture of a certain patience. And that is how the creative virtue comes in. That is how you will be able to find an access into the heart of every human being. Now, it is not just merely knowing a mechanical knowledge about filmmaking or very craftsmanship. There is something always beyond then that something is there. And that's what I could feel with Mr. Richard Attenborough. And that's how he could reach millions and millions of people.
No, it's related to that. No. There was a, you see, it depends on the relating of the audience with the theme. Now, there was a long discussion in the one organization called Dalit Sangharsh Samiti. They told whether their members should view the film or not. Only one writer, Dalit writer, he volunteered to see the film. That's why I put that question. Okay. So everyone should relate with the whatever message or whatever it is in the film. So.
Yeah, it all depends on the kind of the source from which it generates. Your whole idea. See, idea doesn't have a life by itself. The idea gets into lively form only because of you connect it with that kind of a sensibilities, and that sensibility only will bring you the kind of dimension, perspective, depth, and also the emotional factors that is connected with that. So even from the point of view of the emotive dynamics in a film, it comes because it has certain kind of a temperamental brilliance into it. So when you try to exercise that emotive dynamics and on the level of a temperamental brilliance, then you have your film as a different kind of a character. It is no longer you are seeing it as a kind of a reality. It is a kind of a reality which is much beyond than what you could even imagine. So all the films that film succeeds because of that, because they can reach to they can have an access into the heart of every common man. Because ultimately film is meant for every common man. It's not for any section or that section. And that's what Mr. Attenborough could succeed.
Very true. And as with Munna Bhai, the whole generation was ready to say, along with the lovable goon, Munna Bhai Gandhi Bole To. So you have any anecdote you want to share before we show that very special clip that you've got for us? Anything that comes to mind that never leaves you while you guys were making this movie? Something interesting, or something that was really extremely challenging, any situation was very challenging for the three of you. Anything that comes to mind?
Well, the challenges were too many, but I will just end that on a happy note that we got a call from our the actor who played Mahatma Gandhi, and I still remember that call. He called me and said, "They are showing this film in a video van from Bombay to Pune. You got to do something. What are you doing?" I said, "You're Mahatma Gandhi." I said, "Just because." He was so angry. He said, "Vinod ji, abhi aap bolo, main police ko bulata hu. Ye picture." Maine kaha, "Aap Mahatma Gandhi hai." So, finally we have to remind ourselves constantly of Mahatma Gandhi. And I have to do that more often, as you know, my temper is much worse than the two gentlemen here. So I have to constantly look at Lagero Munna Bhai, tell myself, and I think that is one thing that I would say at the end for all those who are more like me and less like him, that they should see this film and look at Mahatma Gandhi and be like Mahatma Gandhi and not the actor that Prabhalkar was.
I so agree with you. I think we all need to look for, because there is a Gandhi in each one of us and we need to find him. And so there is a special clip that you have. Before we roll the clip, would you want to say something about that to everybody here?
No, it's just a simple clip of how, the same scenes which I was talking to you about. And I guess just see it here.
Okay,
what's there to talk about?